Did you find yourself wondering, is there a typo in the title? It's not a typo. We will be exploring the question, to whom do we belong? This is important because the answer would radically change how we view ourselves and others, especially in this time where there seems to be a global identity crisis. Who am I is simply not enough. We need to know whom we belong to and why we were created. Just think about this. If it was your birthday and your family friend wants to give you a gift, a pen, and he says, choose. The first pen was owned by the Apostle Paul, and it was used to write all the letters to the churches. The second pen was bought from a store. It is brand new. Which of these two pens would interest you? Probably the first one. The pen itself is okay and everything, but who owned it and who it belonged to makes it valuable. Who we belong to helps us to know our own worth and value. So, who do we belong to? No need to beat around the bush. We belong to God. Now, let's dive in and see how this is true and what it means for us. We will start in the beginning. The best place in the Bible to find the beginnings of things is the book called The Beginning, Genesis. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 27. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, over all the earth, over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. God created us in his own image. I would like to recommend this book to you, Attributes of God by A.W. Pink. It will help in knowing God, and in knowing him, you will understand what his image is. God is spirit, therefore his image has nothing to do really with the physical form. Rather, it is more about the characteristics that he possesses and made us with some of those characteristics. God is loving, caring, gracious, understanding, etc. And we too can display these attributes. God made us for his glory to display who he is. Of all that God had created, we are the only beings that he made in his image, which is such an honor and a privilege. There are many Bible verses to show us this, that God has created us. What does this mean for us though? And how should it affect our lives? God made us to glorify him with our lives. This has an implication on how we live on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute basis. How we walk, talk, whether we eat or drink, we ought to do everything in a manner that shows that we know God and honor him above all else. Eat or drink. Do Christians chew and swallow differently than unbelievers? Do they eat holy food? No. Okay, it's more about the attitude and the heart posture as we enjoy God's provision. He owns us and he cares for us. And for Christians, we belong to him in other wonderful ways too. He redeemed us. Now, the only way I can explain this better is we're using an analogy that's not so favorable, but it really puts the point across. Back in the slave days, people used to literally own people that they would buy. And redemption would come through when another owner or somebody else buys the slaves out of their old master. It was painful, and hopefully the new master will be a good one, but no master on earth is ever good enough. Well, when we were born under slavery to sin and Satan. And Jesus, with his own blood, redeemed us from this. He paid the price we could not pay to redeem us from the old master to this wonderful, loving master. So Christians are happy servants of this wonderful Lord Jesus. He owns us and we love that. Anyway, if you really think about it, we all want to belong. We want to belong to a group of friends, we want to belong to a family, we want to belong around people. And for those who are not married, you want to belong to somebody. Because belonging is just in our innermost being. It makes us feel complete sometimes. So belong to Jesus Christ. Who else is a better person to belong to? God Himself, who made you and loves you above anyone else can ever love you. Secondly, if you're a Christian, He has adopted you. There's a beautiful thing that comes with adoption. It says, I saw you and I had you. Sometimes when we are born into a family, we might think, you didn't have a choice, you just had me. But with adoption, there's no such thing. You know you were chosen. You know He decided to have you in His own family. And who is this one who's bringing us into His own family? The Lord of Lords, King of Kings. He says we are His sons. We are His children. Sons, whether we are girls or boys, we are sons. This is beautiful because it means we get to be heirs of all that God has alongside Jesus Christ. Can you imagine Jesus, the King of Kings, is your older brother? My mind just can't get a wrap around this. And He loves it. And He has done everything to make sure that we come into His kingdom, but not just in His kingdom, under His lordship, and not only under His lordship, but also into His family. This God truly loves us. And that's why it is a privilege to belong to Him. We need to tell others about this beautiful God. We need to rejoice that we belong to Him. We need to rejoice in Him as He rejoices in us. Let's read Zephaniah. Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 17. The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by His love. He will exult over you with loud singing. I can never imagine that. I cannot imagine God singing, but He does over you because He loves you. You belong to Him. Do not let anyone else steal that away from you. Do not let the world steal that away from you. They can try, but God's word stands. You belong to God.